All right, guys. Hey, give me a second. I am just making sure everything is on. Make sure all the live feeds and everything come up. Bear with me a minute. Hopefully, you guys are having a great Friday. Oh, there we go. I'm on. I see myself. All right. I just wanted to. I know I've said this, but I like to say it again, just in case new people that actually come on. I'm trying to start these 5 minute Friday, yeah, 5 minute Fridays, just like topics and things like that on just real estate, mortgage notes, funding deals, private money, and things like that. Um, so the goal is every Friday at noon. Typically do 5 minutes or so. Sometimes they may go 20 minutes, 30 minutes, depending on the topic. But I should say 5 minutes ish around that. Hopefully, like I said, it'll be over, it'll be under. Um, so I'm trying to think what else. So yeah, so I just really appreciate you being here. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them, and then I'll answer them at the end. So I will go ahead and start this. Let me get rid of this live thing. All right, let me switch views. I want to make sure that comes up here. All right, looks like I can see it on my screen there. So once again, I'd just like to welcome you to In the Know 5 Minute Fridays. Like I said, some topics are going to be 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes. Sometimes it'll go longer. I was going to ask Dan Deppen to be on this Friday, call the underwriter, and I just lost track of time, and I never did really, I didn't send out the Zoom link. So I'm going to try to have him on next Friday. He has a really good service, just not for mortgage notes, but just real estate in general, on structuring the notes. So the goal was to have him on this Friday. Unfortunately, I didn't, just because I got bogged down with buying 4 notes, and then I'm in the process of buying 13 other notes, and then I was looking at a pool of 31, and then whittling those down, and then reaching out to the seller. Just there's some missing information, just trying to get that information there. So what I could also do is in a future broadcast, kind of like go over the ways that I look at the notes and things like that. So that way you'd be able to get a little bit out of it. So in any event, I just want to welcome you once again to this In the Know 5 Minute Friday. So the topic is, can you really use your self-directed IRA to buy mortgage notes? And the answer is 100% yes. I do it all the time. But let's first start off, just so that way we're on level playing grounds. A lot of people don't understand what mortgage notes are. So really a simple explanation is you're buying the debt, not the property. This is where even seasoned real estate investors, they get tripped up on this, where they think they're buying the note, but they think they own the property. You do not own the property. The borrower still owns the property. You're buying that debt instrument, right? So the promissory note and the mortgage is the security lien against that promissory note tied to the property. So if the borrower does not live up to their end of the obligation, you can foreclose on the property, take the property back. So once again, you're buying the debt and not the property. The borrower still owns that home. They now owe you. You're collecting monthly payments just like the bank. Really what's happening is you're becoming the bank. You are now the bank, where they will be making payments directly into, and then in this particular case, we're talking about self-directed IRAs. So they will be making these payments directly into this. When I say they will be making payments to a third-party servicing company, and I'll have a topic about that. Maybe what I'll do is I'll ask somebody from a servicing company that I use to come on and talk a little bit about that. But in essence, the borrower's making payments to the third-party servicing company. They collect the payments. And then that third-party servicing company, they deduct their processing fee, their servicing cost. It ranges anywhere from $15. I've seen it all the way up to like $45, $50 for performing, 95 to like 115 on non-performing. So they deduct that, and then the proceeds will be directed to your self-directed IRA. So once again, you're actually becoming the bank in this transaction. So the difference between a traditional IRA versus a self-directed IRA, unlike a regular IRA, a self-directed IRA lets you invest in mortgage notes, real estate, gold, crypto, art, and you need a custodian that allows these non-traditional assets. So I do have a free report. So if you like that, you can just request that, and then I can give that to you. I've bought a lot of mortgage notes over the years within my self-directed IRA, and then also real estate. I owned a lot of real estate within my self-directed IRA, and just a couple years ago, I sold off my last rental. It was a Section 8 rental that I had this thing for years. And I just got tired of the tenants, the toilets, and the trash outs. I mean, it was just one thing after the other. So I just decided to sell it, and then I used those proceeds to buy, uh, you know, several other mortgage notes, performing mortgage notes. And I do own gold. I don't own crypto, but I do own gold within my self-directed IRA. And just recently, last year, I bought some art in my self-directed IRA. They talk about being diversified within your investments. I don't I don't play the stock market. I just think that's too volatile for me. So I tend to stick with the mortgage notes, gold, and then art. And like I was saying, you need to choose the custodian that allow these non-traditional assets. So that's going to allow you to do this. So what I've done is I've done a step-by-step list of buying a note within your self-directed IRA. It's pretty simple. You just need, once you find your custodian, you need to open up a self-directed IRA, like I said, with a trusted custodian. Fund the account. You need to transfer or roll the money over. Find the mortgage note, either performing or non-performing. That's where people get kind of hung up on it, is evaluating the performing note. So, I could probably do another broadcast on that, on evaluating performing versus non-performing notes, because there are some things you really need to be mindful of, and then there's a lot of both instances, performing and non-performing. You have to do a lot of due diligence on it just to make sure that that the property is actually physically there. I had one where it was the address, and I was looking at it, doing the due diligence, and ordered the BPO, and on Google Maps it showed the house, but the BPO showed it was just a vacant land. So, and they were selling it as a single family home. So you have to do your due diligence on that. But to get back to this, you find the mortgage note deal, performing or non-performing. Step number 4, have your IRA make the purchase. The IRA owner owns the note, not you. And you can do checkbook IRAs, for your company LLCs. And typically, this is referred to a directions of investment. Step 4, make the purchase. You just instruct your IRA to purchase this asset. And it sounds complicated. It's not. The custodian that you use, there are a lot of them out there that have really good training that actually walk you through this. Or you can even call the custodian, and then you can hop on the line, and they'll be able to walk you through it as well. So really good. Number 5, servicer sends the payment back to your IRA. That's what I was talking about before. So, you buy this note, your servicing company will let that borrower know that the loan's been sold, and that the payments are going to go to keep it with this current servicer, or maybe you switch it over to the servicing company. And then when the borrower makes that payment, the servicing company takes out their fees, and then whatever's left, the proceeds of that's your net profit, that goes into your self-directed IRA. I mean, I just absolutely love using my self-directed IRA to do this, and that comes to the next slide. So why is this so powerful? It's tax deferred or tax-free returns, depending on your the traditional self-directed IRA or a Roth. So And what I can do is I can get into that a little bit in the future as well, because depending on your tax bracket now versus your tax bracket later. So like your self-directed IRA. Oops, sorry, my microphone just fell. So your self-directed IRA, you're paying taxes on it now. You're in a different tax bracket. So when you actually retire, it's going to be tax-free. But with the Roth, you're paying the taxes, when you get it out, right? So, and that's where you have to really talk to a financial planner or a CPA, because everybody's mileage differs based off your goals and your wants and your retirement goals, right? So that's why I always encourage people to talk to a really good financial planner or CPA that'll help you plan this out. The thing that I love, like I was saying at the beginning, I don't have any tenants, toilets, or property issues with this. And you grow your retirement passively with cash flow. But one thing I do want to say is, people tend to make this, it's like purely passively. Nothing is really purely passive. You do have to, on your notes, you still have to log in to look at log into your custodian site, log into the back end portal on your servicing, just to make sure everything is going right, right? And the really cool thing with the servicer, you can sign power of attorneys and have things, checks and balances. So if they get, like the 91st day, you can just have them automatically instantiate the foreclosure and just, kind of take it, like automate it from that point. But I really like to log in at least once a month just to make sure everything is still looking pretty good. So that way that the people that I borrow money from, there's money. I can make sure that everything is looking good. And then also with the notes that I buy within my excuse me, within my self-directed IRA, I just make sure everything is on path. And then mistakes to avoid with a self-directed IRA: do not self-deal. Your IRA cannot buy a note from you or your family. A lot of people make this mistake. I've seen this, and that totally jeopardized that entire IRA, and they had to pay taxes on it. So just do not self-deal. Always use a qualified custodian, and always keep clean records. The IRS loves documentation. Just make sure you dot your I's and cross your T's. And these qualified custodians, they'll help you do that, right? So I have a couple of examples of performing notes that I actually bought within my self-directed IRA. This first one is in Indianapolis, Indiana. Had a fair market value of, I bought this a couple years ago, had a fair market value of $90,000. The unpaid, at the time when I bought it, it had a unpaid principal balance of $18,565. The interest rate at the time, or still currently, is 7.625%. I actually purchased this for $6,500. And the principal and interest payments coming in on this is $220 a month. So when you factor in my closing costs, when you factor in my servicing costs, my yield to maturity is 34%. So I'm making 34% return on my money on this one that I purchased. This other one is in Kansas City, Missouri. This one had a fair market value of $95,000. The unpaid principal balance was $15,005. Interest rate was 8%. Purchase price, I bought this one for $6,400. The principal and interest payments on this one is $334.65. My yield on this one is 51%. It's just, and this is what I put this slide in here just to let you know that not all my deals look like this. I was just right place, right time on this. The seller was looking to liquidate these small balances notes. He's already made when you look at the amortization schedule of a loan, it's around that 15, 16-year mark, that law of diminishing return, right? That 15, 16-year mark on a 30-year note, it's front-loaded with interest. So he made a lot of money holding on to these. So he's already made his money, so he just wanted to liquidate and wanted to be done with them. And like I said, right place, right time. Not all my deals look like this. These were just two of the ones that I did a PowerPoint presentation on this a little bit ago, and I just never really taken the time to update some of the other ones that I've done, and I need to do that like I said, I've just been busy with things. So I just want you to make sure that you understand that your deals, these performing notes, don't always look like this. 51 and what was it, 34%, right? Just if you consistently make I would say 8% or better on this, 10% or better, I think you're doing pretty good, right? Especially in your self-directed IRA. So that's really all I have. I don't know if there are any questions. If you do, go ahead and just drop them in the chat. And if you want a list of self-directed IRA custodians, direct message me IRA, and I'll send you the free guide that I compiled. And if you found this helpful, please follow, and I'll break down more strategies next week. Here, let me switch back to my camera. Like I said, if you found this useful, helpful, please feel free to reach out to me. Yep, let me get over here in the camera here a little bit. There. That way I can help you out. I don't know if you have questions on mortgage notes, performing, non-performing notes. Maybe you have questions regarding a self-directed IRA versus a Roth IRA. Oh, thanks, Cookie. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And what I could do is I could go into further detail more about the Roth, self-directed, the covered Ales, the HSAs. Excuse me. So that way, you're going to have to pay taxes, right? But it's just how do you defer them, and then if you just keep buying stuff, so when you do go to retire, you're in a different tax bracket. So and like I said, I really really love buying these notes within my self-directed IRA because I'm 55 right now, so retirement 65, so another 10 years. Um, you know, Pulling that out without penalties. So, like I said, doing this, I really love it. I really love teaching other people how to do this. You're meant okay. Yeah, it's I love mortgage notes. Like I said, I started out rehabbing houses. I started out buying between 3 to 5 houses, and then I eventually got up to 5 to 8. And then, I eventually made the switch to buying just mortgage notes, and I hadn't really looked back. So, and like I said, whether you're buying mortgage notes, whether you're buying just real estate, you're going to fix and flip them, hold them as a rental, Section 8 them, lease option them, rent to own them, you know, really great vehicle to hold these in. So if you have any questions about this, please, please, please feel free to hit me up. You can send me an IM, or you can just schedule a time with talkwithlarryhoffman.com. Talkwithlarryhoffman.com. That way you can schedule a 30-minute call with me, and then 30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever, 50 minutes, whatever is convenient for you. So that way we can help you really understand this, and then also possibly mortgage notes. All right, guys. If there's nothing else, I really appreciate everybody that's been on. And thanks, Cookie, for the questions. And I really appreciate that. So, all right. I'll see you guys. Have a good Friday.